My sister laughed at dinner. Meet my fiancé, a ranger. She mocked my uniform. Then he saw the task force patch, froze, snapped to attention, and barked, "Maya, stop! Do you know what that means?" I watched the Cabernet Sauvignon soak into my dress uniform, the deep red spreading across the ribbons I'd earned in places I couldn't name, doing work I couldn't discuss. The restaurant fell silent, 40 people staring. My sister Maya stood there with an empty wine glass in her hand, her engagement ring catching the light. Her fiancé Eric, Army Ranger, 3rd Battalion, the real deal, sat frozen next to her. "There," Maya said, voice sharp with wine and contempt. "Now maybe you'll stop pretending you're important. The thing about classified work is this: your family doesn't know what you do. They can't know. So they fill in the gaps with whatever story makes them feel better about themselves." For Maya, that story was simple. Her older brother was a nobody, a paper pusher, a pretender in a costume. She'd been telling that story for 3 years. Tonight, she was about to learn the truth. The problem started 6 months earlier, though I didn't realize it at the time. I'd been working at Fort Meade for 8 years. Intelligence analyst, signals intelligence to be specific. The kind of work where you sit in a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, and build target packages for people who operate in places that officially don't exist. My job was to find patterns, connect dots, figure out where someone would be at a specific time so that a team could show up and make them not be there anymore. I was good at it, really good. Good enough that after 6 years, I got tapped for a joint task force, Pentagon level. The patch on my uniform wasn't something you could buy online or earn through normal channels. It was the kind of thing that made other intelligence analysts go quiet when they saw it, but my family didn't know any of that. All they knew was that I worked somewhere in Maryland and couldn't talk about it. Maya had decided that meant I was embarrassed about my boring job, that I was making excuses. She'd started small. Comments at Thanksgiving, jokes at birthday dinners. Jordan's too busy with his spreadsheets to help us move. Jordan can't take time off. His filing cabinet needs him. Don't ask Jordan about his work. He gets defensive because there's nothing to tell. My parents never corrected her. They'd nod along, sometimes laugh. My dad would clap me on the shoulder and say, "Well, somebody's got to do the boring jobs, right, son?" I let it slide. Operational security was drilled into me from day one. You don't correct misconceptions. You don't defend yourself. You definitely don't explain. You just let people think whatever keeps them from asking questions. But Maya wasn't satisfied with quiet judgment. She needed an audience. The first escalation came in February. Maya had started dating Eric 3 months earlier. He was exactly what she wanted. Visibly military, decorated combat veteran, the kind of guy who wore grunt-style t-shirts and talked about downrange at parties. She invited me to a Super Bowl party at her apartment. I almost said no. 36 hours without sleep, just finished analyzing movement patterns for a package in Yemen. But she'd asked specifically, said it would mean a lot, so I went. The apartment was full of Eric's Ranger buddies, all of them fresh back from deployment, drinking beer, talking loudly about firefights and halo jumps. I walked in wearing jeans and a plain gray hoodie. "There he is," Maya announced. "My big brother Jordan. He works for the government." One of Eric's friends, tattooed, thick-necked, probably a saw gunner, grinned at me. "Oh yeah? What do you do?" "Intelligence analysis," I said. "Like Jason Bourne shit?" "More like Microsoft Excel shit," Maya cut in. She was smiling, but her eyes were cold. "Jordan stares at computers all day, filing things. Very important filing." The guys laughed. Not cruel, just dismissive. The way people laugh when someone's clearly exaggerating their importance. Eric joined in. "Hey man, no shame in support roles. We need people to process our paperwork, right?" "Right," I said quietly. I stayed for an hour, ate some wings, watched the game. Nobody asked me anything else about my job. Maya kept making little comments. "Jordan's too tired from typing all day," or "Don't bore the guys with work talk, Jordan." On my way out, Eric followed me to the door. "Hey man," he said, lowering his voice, "don't take Maya's jokes personally. She just, you know how siblings are. She's proud of you. She talks about you all the time." "Sure," I said. "You really do intelligence analysis?" "Yeah." "Where at?" "I can't say." He nodded like he understood, but his eyes said he didn't believe me. March brought the second escalation. My dad called. His car had broken down. Transmission gone. He needed $4,200 for repairs, but he didn't have it. Could I help? I'd helped before. Covered rent when he got laid off 2 years ago. Paid for my mom's dental work. Sent Maya money for emergencies that turned out to be concert tickets or shopping sprees. I sent the money the same day. 2 weeks later, I saw photos on Maya's social media. Her and Eric at a Michelin star restaurant in DC. Champagne, oysters, designer dress. The caption, "When your man treats you like royalty." I texted her, "Thought you needed help with rent?" Her response came 3 hours later. "Dad gave me some money. Guess his car was fine after all." I called my dad. He admitted he'd given Maya $2,000 of what I'd sent him. She needed it for Eric's birthday. You know how important this relationship is to her. I sat in my car in the Fort Meade parking lot, phone in my hand, trying to decide if I was angrier about the money or the principal. Then my clearance officer called. We had a situation in Syria. A high-value target had changed patterns. I was needed in the operations center. I went to work instead of arguing with my family. April was when Maya announced the engagement. She called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in the SIF, halfway through building a movement analysis for a target who'd been evading detection for 6 months. I couldn't answer. She left 17 voicemails. When I finally called her back at 2 a.m., she was furious. You couldn't even pick up? I'm engaged, Jordan. This is the most important moment of my life. I was working. You're always working. Or you claim you are. You know what Eric said? He said real military people make time for family. He said if I was really important to you, you'd pick up your phone. My jaw tightened. Tell Eric that real military people understand operational security. Oh my God, you're so dramatic. You work in an office. Stop acting like you're special ops. I didn't respond. Whatever. Eric and I are having an engagement party. May 15th. You're paying for it. Maya, you owe me, Jordan. I covered for you growing up. I made you look good. And now you're going to stand there and pretend you're too important to celebrate my happiness? I didn't say that. Then you're paying. We want Ruth's Chris. The private room. I'll send you the details. She hung up. I sat there in the blue glow of my monitors, watching a target move through a marketplace in Aleppo, and tried to remember when my sister stopped being my sister and became someone I didn't recognize. The engagement party was scheduled for May 15th. On May 10th, I got pulled into an emergency briefing. A package I'd built 2 months earlier had just been executed, successfully. High-value target removed from play. 0 civilian casualties. Clean operation. Colonel Patricia Vance called me into her office afterward. She was a 23-year veteran, former DIA analyst, the kind of person who'd briefed presidents. Captain Jordan Reeves, she said, using my rank. I'd made captain 6 months earlier, but most people in the building just called me by my last name. That was excellent work. The team lead specifically requested to commend you. You saved lives with that analysis. Thank you, ma'am. She leaned back in her chair. You look exhausted. 72-hour shift. I'm fine. When's the last time you took leave? I had to think about it. 18 months ago. 4 days. That's unacceptable. She pulled up my personnel file. You have 96 days of unused leave. Use some of it. I've got a family thing this weekend. Engagement party. I'll rest then. Her expression softened slightly. Family knows what you do? No, ma'am. That must be difficult. It's fine. She studied me for a long moment. You're one of the best targeters I've worked with, Reeves. But this job eats people alive if they don't maintain boundaries. Make sure you have something outside of this building worth protecting. I nodded and left. May 15th arrived. I showed up at Ruth's Chris at 6 p.m. The private room was decorated with white and gold. 40 people. Maya's friends, Eric's ranger buddies, our parents, some cousins I barely knew. The bill had already hit $3,000 before anyone ordered entrees. Maya had requested I wear my dress uniform. Eric wants to see you in it, she'd said. He thinks it's cool, so I wore it. Dress blues, ribbons polished, shoes shined, the task force patch carefully hidden under my lapel, as always. We were instructed to keep it concealed in public. Too many questions otherwise. I arrived exhausted. Another 36-hour shift, 3 hours of sleep in the past week. My hands shook slightly from too much coffee and too little food. Maya met me at the door. Oh, good. You made it. We saved you a seat. She pointed to the far corner, next to the waiter station, the worst seat in the room. Eric was at the head of the table, Maya beside him, my parents nearby. Everyone else clustered close, laughing and talking. I sat in the corner and ordered water. Dinner progressed slowly. Courses came and went. Appetizers, salads, steaks, more wine, more champagne. I ate mechanically, trying to stay awake. Maya kept glancing at me from across the room, whispering to Eric, laughing. Around 8 p.m., she stood up with her wine glass. Everyone, I want to make a toast. The room quieted. She smiled that perfect social media smile. Thank you all for coming to celebrate me and Eric. This has been the most amazing year of my life. I found my soulmate, my hero, my warrior. She looked at Eric with genuine affection. He grinned back, chest puffed up in his tight Ranger t-shirt, tan beret on the table beside him. And I want to thank my family, Maya continued. My parents, who raised me right, and my big brother Jordan, she turned to me, who managed to leave his office cubicle long enough to join us. I know how hard it is for you to step away from your spreadsheets. Polite laughter rippled through the room. But seriously, she went on, voice taking on a sympathetic tone, I appreciate you supporting my happiness, even though I know it's hard for you to see Eric in his uniform and realize what real military service looks like. The laughter got louder. My hands tightened around my water glass. Eric raised his own glass. Yeah, man. Maya told me you work in HR or something. Filing reports. That's cool. We need people like you, support staff. The machine doesn't run without the guys in the rear. Intelligence analysis, I said quietly. Right, intel. He waved dismissively. Staring at spreadsheets all day. Do you even know how to shoot, or are you just qualified on the stapler? The room erupted. PowerPoint Ranger, one of his buddies yelled. Death by Excel, another added. I looked at my parents. My dad was laughing, red-faced from wine. My mom was smiling, nodding along. They didn't defend me. They never defended me. Maya leaned forward, emboldened by the laughter and the alcohol. You know what your problem is, Jordan? You're jealous. Eric is a real hero, a real warrior, and you're just nothing. A guy in a costume pretending to be important. Something in her voice changed, sharper, meaner. You've been pretending your whole life, pretending you're special, pretending your job matters. But everyone here knows the truth. You're ordinary, boring, a secretary with a uniform. She grabbed her wine glass. The room started to sense the shift in tone. Some Some people looked uncomfortable. You love wearing that uniform so much? Maya said, standing up. Let me improve it for you. She threw the wine. Red liquid splashed across my chest. Ice cold. Shocking. It soaked into my ribbons, my jacket, the fabric turning dark. Droplets hit my face, dripped onto the floor. The entire restaurant went silent, not just our room. The whole building. I sat there perfectly still, feeling the wine drip from my chin onto my lap. My mom gasped. Jordan, for heaven's sake, go clean yourself up. You're embarrassing your sister on her special night. My dad nodded. Yeah, son, maybe just take a breath. Go to the bathroom. I looked at them, really looked at them, and something inside me, something that had been bending for years under the weight of their dismissal and Maya's cruelty, finally snapped. Not with anger, with clarity. These people didn't know me, didn't respect me, didn't even see me. I stood up slowly. Wine dripped from my jacket onto my shoes. I'm leaving, I said. My voice was calm, quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after you've made a decision, and nothing will change your mind. I turned toward the door, but as I moved, my wet jacket pulled tight. The fabric stretched across my chest. The lapel flopped open, and the patch, the one I always kept hidden, the one that identified my unit and clearance level, became visible. Eric's eyes locked onto it. His face went white, actually white, like someone had drained the blood from his head in an instant. Wait, he said, his voice cracking. That's a task force patch. He stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly against the floor. You're JSOC. You're with the unit. The room went silent again, but this time it was a different kind of silence. Eric, what are you talking about? Maya said, her voice sharp with irritation. It's fake. He probably bought it on Amazon or something. Shut up. Eric roared it. Actual volume. The kind of command voice you use in combat when someone's about to do something that'll get them hurt. Maya flinched. So did half the room. Eric's eyes never left the patch. His hands started shaking. You're a targeter, he whispered. You build the packages. You're the one who tells us which doors to kick, which compounds to hit, which routes to take. His whole body went rigid. I didn't say anything, didn't confirm or deny, just stood there, dripping wine, watching him connect the dots. How long? Eric asked. 8 years. Task force for 6 months. Jesus Christ. He ran his hand over his face. Jesus Christ. And you let us... I thought you were... He turned to Maya. The look on his face was pure disgust. You told me he was a secretary, Eric said, his voice shaking. You made me disrespect a superior NCO. You made me dishonor the uniform in front of 40 people. Maya tried to laugh it off. Eric, come on. It's just Jordan. He's not... Do you know what that patch means? Eric cut her off. Do you have any idea? It's just a stupid... That patch means he has higher clearance than anyone in this room. That patch means he's briefed at levels I'll never see. That patch means when we rolled into compounds in Afghanistan, someone like him spent months tracking those targets so we didn't walk into an ambush. He looked at me, really looked at me, saw the exhaustion in my eyes, the slight tremor in my hands from too much coffee and not enough sleep. How long since you slept? He asked quietly. 3 hours. 5 days ago. Working? Yes. Eric's jaw tightened. He turned back to Maya. This man paid for this entire dinner, $3,000, while working shifts that would break most people. And you threw wine on him, called him nothing. I was just joking. You weren't joking. You were cruel. You've been cruel to him for years, haven't you? Maya's face went red. Eric, please. Let's just... The wedding's off. The room exploded. Maya screamed. My mom started crying. My dad stood up, face purple with shock. Eric, wait. Maya grabbed his arm. You can't... This isn't... It's just Jordan. He's nobody. He's always been nobody. Eric pulled his arm free. He's not nobody. You are. He looked at his ranger buddies. All of them had gone quiet, faces pale. They knew what the patch meant too. They'd served under people with that kind of clearance. They understood the implications. Let's go, Eric said to them. They stood, filed out, silent and respectful. Eric paused at my seat. His heels snapped together. Back straight, he saluted me. A crisp, perfect salute in the middle of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, in front of 40 horrified witnesses. Staff Sergeant, he said formally. I apologize for my disrespect. It was inexcusable. It won't happen again. I returned the salute slowly, properly. At ease, Ranger. Eric dropped his hand, looked at me one more time. Thank you for your service, sir. Real service. Then he walked out. His friends followed. The private room erupted into chaos. Maya was sobbing. My mom was shouting. My dad was trying to calm everyone down. I stood there in my wine-stained uniform, watching the wreckage I'd accidentally created just by existing. One of Maya's friends, a woman I'd never met, approached me carefully. Is it true? She asked quietly. What he said about your job? I can't discuss my work, I said. She nodded. I'm sorry for what she did to you. You didn't deserve that. Thank you. I walked toward the door. My mom intercepted me. Jordan, wait. You can't just leave. We need to fix this. Maya's devastated. Her engagement is ruined. She ruined it herself. But you could. She grabbed my arm. You could talk to Eric. Explain that you didn't mean to. I didn't do anything, Mom. But your patch, your job, I could have what? Hidden better? Lied more? Let her keep humiliating me so her fiancé wouldn't figure out who I actually am? My mom's face crumpled. She's your sister. She threw wine on me, called me nothing, in front of 40 people, and you told me to go clean up because I was embarrassing her. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. I pulled my arm free and walked out. The parking lot was quiet. Cool May air. Stars barely visible through DC's light pollution. My phone started buzzing immediately. Maya, Mom, Dad, Maya again. I blocked all 3 numbers. Then I sat in my car, a 10-year-old Honda Accord, paid off, reliable, and let myself feel everything I'd been pushing down for years. The exhaustion, the resentment, the bone-deep loneliness of doing work that mattered while being treated like you didn't. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. Captain Reeves? A male voice. Calm, professional. Speaking. This is Eric Brennan. I just left your sister's engagement party. I didn't respond. I wanted to call and apologize properly, he continued. What I said about you, about your work, it was disrespectful and wrong. Maya told me you were in a support role, non-combat, desk work. I believed her because she's been saying it for so long I didn't question it. It's fine. It's not fine. I'm a staff sergeant in 3rd Ranger Battalion. I've been deployed 4 times. I know what task force operators do. I know what targeters do. You save lives. You prevent ambushes. You're the reason guys like me come home. His voice got quieter. Maya doesn't deserve you. Your parents don't either. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Thank you, I said. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you ever correct her? You could have shut her down years ago. I thought about it. Operational security, and I guess I hoped she'd figure it out on her own, that she'd eventually see me. I was wrong. Yeah, Eric said. You were. He paused. For what it's worth, the guys and I talked in the parking lot. We're all going to make some calls. Word spreads fast in the Ranger community. By tomorrow morning, everyone's going to know what Maya did. Nobody's going to want to date her. Nobody's going to trust her. You don't have to do that. I know, but she needs to understand what she destroyed. And maybe it'll teach her something. We hung up. I drove home in my wine-stained uniform, past the Pentagon, past the monuments lit up against the night sky, past all the people who had no idea what happened in the buildings they drove by every day. My apartment was small, 1 bedroom, Spartan. I didn't spend enough time there to bother decorating. I stripped off the uniform. The wine had set into the fabric. The dry cleaner would have to work magic to save it. I showered, let the hot water run until it went cold. Then I climbed into bed and slept for 14 hours straight. The fallout came in waves. Day 1, Maya called from 17 different numbers. I didn't answer any of them. She left voicemails, texts, emails. You ruined my life. Everyone's talking about me. Eric's friends are spreading rumors. Mom and Dad are so disappointed in you. I deleted them all. Day 2, my dad showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't answer the door. Son, he said when I finally opened it, we need to talk about what happened. No, we don't. Maya's devastated. The wedding's off. Her friends are abandoning her. She's getting messages from people calling her cruel, calling her a liar. You could fix this. How? Tell people it was a misunderstanding, that you're not really whatever Eric thought you were. I stared at him. You want me to lie about my job so Maya looks better? I want you to help your sister. I've been helping my sister for years. I'm done. Jordan, I sent you money for a car. You gave half of it to Maya for a birthday party. I've paid her rent, her credit cards, her emergencies. I paid for that dinner, $3,000, and she threw wine on me. My dad looked uncomfortable. She was drunk. She meant every word. And you let her. Mom let her. You both stood there and laughed while she humiliated me. We didn't know your job was important. You didn't ask. You never asked. You just assumed I was lying or exaggerating or pretending. He didn't have a response to that. You need to leave, I said. Your mother wants to talk to you. Tell Mom I said no. I closed the door. Day 3, Colonel Vance called me into her office. Reeves, sit. I sat. I got an interesting call this morning, she said, from a Staff Sergeant Eric Brennan, 3rd Ranger Battalion. He wanted to apologize for disrespecting a joint task force member at a family event. My stomach dropped. Ma'am, I can explain. She held up her hand. He also wanted to commend you. Said you handled an ugly situation with professionalism and restraint. Said if more operators had your discipline, the military would be better off. I didn't know what to say. He mentioned your sister threw wine on your dress uniform and called you worthless in front of 40 people, including your parents. It was a personal matter, ma'am. It won't affect my work. I know it won't. You're one of the most reliable operators I have. But Reeves, you need to hear this. You don't owe your family access to your life if they don't respect you. Yes, ma'am. I mean it. This job is hard enough without people who claim to love you tearing you down. You're authorized to take 2 weeks leave, effective immediately. That's an order. Ma'am, I don't need... It's not a request. You're exhausted. You've been running on fumes for months. Take the leave. Rest. Figure out what boundaries you need with your family. Then come back ready to work. I left her office with 2 weeks of mandatory leave and a strange feeling in my chest that might have been relief. Week 1 of leave was quiet. I turned off my phone. Slept. Read books I'd been meaning to read for years. Went to the gym. Cooked actual meals instead of eating vending machine food. On day 4, I got an email from Eric. Subject: Aftermath. Jordan wanted to update you. Maya's been calling me nonstop. So have your parents. Asking me to give her another chance or talk to you. I've blocked them all. My Ranger buddies and I made good on our word. The story spread through the community. Not as gossip, as a warning. Don't date someone who disrespects service members, especially ones working at levels above their understanding. Maya's social media is getting hammered. Her friends are posting the story. People she doesn't even know are commenting. She's getting called out for stolen valor by proxy, claiming her brother was nothing while benefiting from his money and protection. She's apparently apparently been fired from her job. Someone sent the story to her employer. They didn't like the optics. I don't feel good about it, but I don't feel bad either. Actions have consequences. Your parents are another story. They're trying to control the narrative, telling people it was all a misunderstanding, that you overreacted, that Maya was just joking. Nobody's buying it. Take care of yourself, brother. Eric. I read it twice. Then I deleted it and went for a run. Week 2. My mom showed up at my apartment with Maya. I opened the door and found them both standing there. Maya's eyes were red and swollen. My mom looked exhausted. Please, my mom said, just listen. 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let them in. Maya sat on my couch and started crying immediately. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I thought you were making up excuses for why you were boring. I thought you were pretending. Why would I pretend to be boring? I don't know. I don't know why I thought that. I was jealous, okay? You were always so smart, always so capable, and I thought if I could make you seem small, I'd seem bigger by comparison. My mom put her hand on Maya's shoulder. She made a mistake, Jordan. A terrible mistake. But she's your sister. Family forgives. Does family humiliate each other in public? I asked quietly. Does family throw wine on each other? Does family steal money and lie about it? Maya's head snapped up. What? Dad gave you $2,000 of the money I sent him for car repairs. You spent it on Eric's birthday dinner. Her face went pale. I've covered your rent for 2 years, paid for your emergencies, bailed you out financially at least a dozen times, and you thanked me by telling everyone I was worthless. I didn't mean it like that. You meant exactly that. You wanted Eric and his friends and everyone at that party to see you as better than me, more important, more valuable. Jordan, it worked. Eric saw exactly who you are. So did everyone else. My mom's voice got sharp. This is what I'm talking about. You're being cruel now, vindictive. That's not who you are. You don't know who I am, Mom. You've never known. You've never asked. That's not fair, isn't it? You laughed when Maya called me a secretary. You told me to clean up when she threw wine on me. You didn't defend me once in 3 years of her mockery. She didn't respond. I'm not trying to hurt Maya, I said. I'm not spreading stories or telling people to avoid her, but I'm not fixing this either. This is her consequence, and yours, and Dad's. So that's it? Maya's voice cracked. You're just done with us? I'm done being your ATM and your punching bag. If you want a relationship with me, it'll be different. No more money, no more covering for you, no more letting you pretend I'm nothing. What if I can't do that? Then we won't have a relationship. They left 20 minutes later. I never heard from Maya again. My parents sent a few emails over the next 6 months. Birthday card, Christmas card, generic messages that didn't acknowledge what had happened. I didn't respond. 3 months after the dinner, I got promoted to major. Colonel Vance recommended me for a position at SOCOM headquarters in Tampa. More responsibility, better pay, a chance to work with the best special operations forces in the world. I accepted. The day I left Fort Meade, Eric sent me one last message. Heard about your promotion. Congratulations, sir. You earned it. For what it's worth, you were right to walk away. Some people don't deserve access to you. Stay safe out there. SSG Brennan. I saved the message. Not because I needed validation, but because it reminded me that respect is earned by actions, not demanded by blood. My family chose humiliation. Eric chose honor, and I chose myself. But epilogue. 1 year later, Tampa was good for me. The work was hard. The hours were brutal. But I was surrounded by people who understood what I did and why it mattered. I made friends, real friends, operators and analysts who'd been where I'd been, done what I'd done. People who measured you by your competence and integrity, not by whether you made them feel important. I started therapy. A nice civilian woman named Dr. Rebecca Cho who specialized in military families. She helped me untangle years of obligation and guilt. You weren't responsible for managing their feelings about you, she told me once. You were responsible for doing your job and living with integrity. You did that. They failed you, not the other way around. On the anniversary of the dinner, I got a LinkedIn message from someone I didn't know. Hi, Jordan. My name is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Brennan. I'm Eric's older sister. I heard about what happened at your sister's engagement party last year. I wanted you to know. Eric talks about you like you're a hero. He tells the story to every new ranger in his battalion, uses it as a teaching moment about respect and humility. He says you never bragged, never corrected anyone, just let your work speak for itself, and that's what real warriors do. Thank you for that example. Sarah. I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and went for a run along Tampa's waterfront, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and gold. My phone buzzed in my pocket. For a moment, I wondered if it was Maya or my parents, some final attempt at reconciliation. It wasn't. It was Colonel Vance. Reeves, how fast can you get to MacDill? We've got a situation developing. Need your eyes on it. 20 minutes, ma'am. Good. See you soon. I turned around and ran back to my apartment, past tourists and families and people living ordinary lives, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years around my family. Peace. Because I'd finally learned the hardest lesson. Some people will never see you for who you are, and that's okay. You don't need them to. You just need to see yourself. The rest will follow.